here, Giant Sports Talk Entertainment. It's the Wednesday. We soon will head out, big going across the pond to see the Dharma. And on Thursday, of course, the Giants are leaving on Thursday for their trip to the UK to play the vaunted Green Bay Packers. We got some news in reference to injuries. We got some quarterback sightings that have come into the Giants Stadium to try out. Kenny G is expected not to travel to London following. He's got a sprained MCL. You know, is it a big loss? No. We get Wan'Dale Robinson and Kadarius Toney back. It's not going to be a big loss, but if we get one of them back, we're going to be okay. So that'll bring us down to James, David Sills, and Darius Slayton as the top targets against the Packers. Can we say it again? Boys and girls? Run. That's all I would do. I would just run the ball 4,970 times against the Packers until they figure out how to stop it. This may give a little bit of a boost to Darius. Everyone talks about the drop pass. That wasn't an easy catch to make that drop ball, but it was also a pass interference penalty. So you know what? It's all good. The Giants are now going with the backup plan. They have brought in Jake from State Farm, Fromm. They are looking at the Lewerke, and they brought in A.J. Mccarron yesterday. You know, A.J. Mccarron is an interesting story. People are going to remember him with the fact that he was with Buffalo at one point in time. They're also going to remember his career in Alabama. He was a fifth-round pick. Who was he? He was a fifth-round pick for whom? It was the Bengals, right? Yeah, it was the Bengals. And he had an interesting career so far because it's really been full of strife and everything else that could happen. He signed a 4-year deal for $2.4 million with the Bengals back in 2014. And then he was placed on the non-football injury list with a shoulder soreness, which meant that he missed the first 6 weeks of the season. He was at one point in time a almost an heir apparent to the job in with the Bengals. He really was. But injuries seem to have more than derailed his career in many stops. And also many people forget that he was going to be traded to the Cleveland Browns. And he was going to be traded. What was he going to be traded for? I forget. He was going to be traded, I believe it was a second-round draft pick. He was going to be, was he going to be traded for a second? Yeah, it was back in 17. It was going to be in exchange for a second and a third round pick in the 18 draft, but the Browns failed to file the paperwork on time. So the deal never went through. And then Mccarron actually filed a grievance against the Bengals so he could become an unrestricted free agent. So, he's had a little bit of a messiness of a career, but at one point in time, like I said, he was going to be the heir apparent. His rookie season in 2015, he was 2-1, completed 66% of his passes for 854 yards, 6 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He played a little bit in Houston, but after the whole fiasco over with the Bengals, he went over to the Buffalo Bills, and again, he competed with, Nate Peterman and Josh Allen for the starting quarterback position, but then he injured himself again. He had a hairline fracture, I believe, in his collarbone at that point in time, and then he went on and was traded to the Raiders for a 5th-round pick. He appeared in 2 games for Derek Carr, and then the Raiders leased him in 19, and then he jumped over to the Texans in 19 again, signed a 1-year deal. Then he re-signed with the Texans. He briefly came in a couple games in 19, and then he actually last year went to the Falcons, and again, he won the backup job he won the backup job to back up Matty Ice, and then he suffers a torn ACL in week 2. So since 14, this guy has been an heir apparent potentially in 2 places, and it just has not worked out for him. Now, I'm not saying this is a great signing if they sign him, but like I said, he has talent. Does he have more talent than old Jake? I think he does. He's got a better arm than Jake. He's got more mobility than Jake. His problem is he just can't stay healthy. And, everyone's going to talk about the fact that, of course, Jake was over in Buffalo at some point in time. So Jake, of course, for the Giants was 27-60 for 210, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Giants went 0-2 in that period of time. That was also the time of the victory formation 2 times in a row. We'll never get rid of that. I should say quarterback sneak. It wasn't a victory formation, but we are never going to live down the Joe Judge era in reference to that. But I'm saying this, Davis Webb is a good option because he's been with the team. He's going to be the backup. He could potentially be the starter. We have to wait and see. You know what? It is going to be more telling in reference to who gets on that plane on Thursday. The Giants are going to say a lot, and the Giants are going to say a lot of things before then. But the telltale sign is going to be who boards that plane Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning or whatever time that plane is leaving. Because that's going to give you an indication of what the quarterback situation is going to be. And I know some people are like, this is just terrible. They're working out. You got to be kidding me that they're working out these guys. What else is there? Seriously, what else is out there right now that you can work out that's going to have some familiarity with the system of Brian Dable and Kafka beyond people like Fromm and A.J. Mccarron and Lewerke? And I so badly want Lewerke to make the roster because I want him to be in the game so I can do, come on, Lewerke. You got to Lewerke it. Maybe we can bring in Chad Powers. Is Chad Powers available? Is he around somewhere? If we can get Chad Powers in here, I think we would be okay. Listen, at the end of the day, it's a backup to the backup. If neither Taylor or Jones can go and Davis Webb gets hurt, you're going to go Wildcat again. Because this team right now, the way it's constructed, the way it's built, they're building themselves right now to be a power I team. We might as well just run the veer. Why don't we just run the veer? Let's go back to college and run the veer. Bobby Bowden was the forefather of the veer over in West Virginia. I don't think Bobby's still alive. I was going to say, if we could call Bobby up and get some pointers, but I don't think he's still alive. Well, maybe, I think his son is. So maybe his son knows something about the veer. Let's run the veer. Why not? It works. It works for a short period of time. And all we're looking at right now is to get through a short period of time. That's what we're looking at. And I just want to say one thing to the people left me comments and said, well, Daniel Jones has no weapons and this and that. You got to remember, yeah, we were cash straps, but Dable and Shane brought these guys together, brought this roster together as in reference to the talent and the wide receiver room. So you could blame the cap all you want, but there's not much more blame to point, or there's a perfect place to point than the guys who actually brought in the talent and said these guys were good talent that we can bring in. Because there was guys on the open market, there was guys in the draft we could have got. Everyone always talks about Pickens. So let's not leave them blameless. And I know we're not allowed. I know the rules. We're not allowed to question or do anything against Shane or Dable right now. I get it. I understand. I read the rule book, but I'm breaking the rules. If you want to sit there and you're going to point blame about the talent in reference to the receivers rooms, it has to be pointed at the head coach and the GM. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying it's their fault 100%. Hell no. They had salary cap constraints and issues, but you knew you were drafting a 5'8" wide receiver. You knew you had a knucklehead that you drafted. You didn't draft, but the previous regime drafted the year before. And like I said, there was never any denial that they were trying to trade Kadarius Toney. There was no denial in that. You let Darius Slayton languish on the bench for the likes of David Sills. Yeah, Colin Johnson was a bad break, but you still had an opportunity to go out and find a guy. You could have tried to get Mims from the Jets. There was a lot of things you could have done, but you know what? We are building, and I understand they're building for the long haul. This is not a snapshot in time. Shane is building. He's got to protect his cap space because you got to remember, the Giants have 50 plus next year. 10 of that goes automatically to the draft class. And then you have to worry about the signing of the player. So let's say you have 50, 10 goes to the draft, you're already down to 40. You're not going to give Daniel Jones $32 million of that, with reference to, it's a franchising tag. You're not going to give him 20 plus. I've seen people like, well, give Daniel like 20 over, 40 million over 2. You're not going to give him $20 million of your $40 million cap space. That's crazy. So I get it. They're protecting the cap space. And like I said, they are doing the best job. Sheen and Dable are doing the best job that they can do with what they have and what they have in front of them. So like I said, I would just be a running team. I'd run Matt. I'd run Brightwell. I would run the Saquon. I would run it all. Run. That's what I would do. With no bonus clip today because I actually got to go out and walk a dog. That's my other big job. I do enjoy doing the dog walks. It is a lot of fun. But we're gonna have a bonus clip tomorrow for OG members. And again, this is Tim with the Online Big Blue, bringing the best in New York Giants sports talk entertainment. And as always, if you could like, if you could subscribe, if you could ring that bell, you know what it means. That'd be awesome.